Once you reach here, assent or withhold, then I'll dictate a small point there to write just below withhold. Done? Okay. So actually president can withhold, but here just below that write in bracket, must give reasons. Must provide or give reasons. Must give reasons. Are we clear, everyone? So couple of things to understand. No veto power, no pocket veto, nothing of this sort exists for the governor now. And one more thing, as we know very well, this concept of referring under Article 200, Article 200, this is known as referential power. Now I want to use veto, but because of Supreme Court statement that there is no veto power, let's call it referential power only, no problem. And this has been borrowed from which country? Canada, or as people of Punjab call it, Canada. So you know how we are obsessed with going to Canada. So in the Canadian Constitution also there is a section 55 which has a similar kind of provision. Are you clear? One more point, when you read the word president here, please don't read president, read the central government. No, because you might have this confusion that but in the chapter president this was the real power of president, but here it is not. Here it is not the word president, here it is the central government, council of ministers. Are they clear? Okay. So that's about it with respect to the assent of bills. Now one thing that we need to understand is recently Supreme Court was asked a question on this. They have also said something, but this judgment stands valid till now. In future if something happens, we don't know. Firstly, people are claiming that how can you interpret this to mean all these things? This is not interpretation. This is like you are rewriting everything from scratch. Second is a two-judge bench giving such a judgment which requires interpreting the constitution is not correct. Constitution interpretation requires at least 5 judges sitting together. That's a problem. One of the judges here was Justice J.B. Padiwala, who is going to be the future Chief Justice of India, and things are going to be very, very unique under him. J.B. Padiwala has given very controversial judgments and statements. He was one who gave this. He was one who gave this judgment that all the dogs in Delhi have to be removed immediately. Then later on it was rectified, it was modified. He was the one who once scolded a High Court judge and asked the Chief Justice of High Court not to give him any kind of cases, firstly train him. This you can't make such statements against a High Court judge, okay? High Court judge is also a judge in the court of record. He is also a constitutional court judge. Then later on that remark was removed from the statement. He had been in trouble in the past also for making slightly careless remarks. So it'll be very interesting to see his Chief Justiceship, because things might change. Justice Suryakant, who is Suryakant, who is he? The Chief Justice of India. Of course, recent fiasco happened where he made a very strange remark of how dare you criticize judiciary, but beyond that he has been very favorable towards the nationalistic ideals. But that is not in the past. Have you heard of this lady called Nupur Sharma? By any chance? Nupur Sharma. She was a BJP party worker and she was in one of these news debates. You know, news debate that happened at 9 PM where people fight. That news debate. So, one of the Muslim community members in the panel, he made some remark against some Hindu god, to which she countered by quoting some hadith. verse of hadith which was making some remark on the Muslim gods or whatever the structure is, on Prophet actually, which became a huge cause of concern. So people forgot the remark made originally by that fellow towards a Hindu deity, and then that remark was remembered, and there were calls for chopping her head in the entire country. In fact, people who had forwarded the post of this Nupur Sharma, one of the tailors who had just forwarded this video, his head was chopped off. On that, a movie was also made recently, just to cash in on that particular situation. But anyway, that's not the point. So, and cases were filed against her. Calls were given to chop off her head, because there is a slogan that has been running from Pakistan amongst the Muslim committees, and this came from Pakistan. It has come to India also now. So this slogan talks about, if you make any blasphemous remarks against Prophet Muhammad, then you will have to chop off your head. Okay, there is because it's a Punjabi Urdu mixed slogan, so it comes from Pakistan. Gustakhe Rasool ki ek saza, sar tan se juda. So if you make blasphemous remarks against the Prophet, we'll have to chop off your head. And this has happened in Pakistan. There was an interesting case where a guard of a bank, he wanted some leave, and the branch manager denied him leave. After a couple of days, this guard went and shot him in his office, claiming that he had made blasphemous remarks against Prophet. Now we don't know. Maybe he had. No idea. This was a story that came out. Same thing happened in Bangladesh also, where in Bangladesh, that kid was burnt alive. The allegation was he had made blasphemous remarks. So coming to Nupur Sharma actually had made she had filed a case in the Supreme Court that there are hundreds of cases filed against her in the entire country. She can't go to all these courts. So she requested Supreme Court to transfer all the cases to Delhi. Okay, because the more she would travel, the higher chance of her getting killed. Because when this comment came, BJP disowned her immediately. They threw her out of the party immediately. So then the Justice Suryakant actually made a statement in the court that the loose tongue of this lady has wreaked havoc in the country. That's not a good statement to make. Firstly, if the lady has said something wrong, I think we have courts to resolve that problem. People who are going on killing outside in the name of what she said is not justified. So you can't blame the person. That was Suryakant. And once Suryakant said this, Justice said this, people are very afraid of his tenure. Once he comes to power, I don't know what havoc he'll wreak in the country. But thankfully, he has just had a change of heart completely, being very rational, etc., barring this recent NCRT thing. Anyway, so here also Justice Pardiwala is known to make such unique kind of remarks. When he was a judge in Gujarat High Court judge, there was a criminal case, there was a corruption case going on, filed by CBI. It had reached High Court. In that corruption case, he made a remark that two things have caused the most damage to the country: corruption and reservation. And reservation policy is a constitutional policy. It is mentioned in the constitution that constitution can provide for reservation. That was not seen as a correct way to make a remark. Immediately some people moved a motion in High Court to remove him. Then he later on issued a public statement that I take back those remarks. Apology, I don't know, but he took back those remarks. So he is known to make statements and take back those statements. So let's see how his Chief Justiceship works for the country. Here also, I mean, it's a two-judge bench. They have given too much of elaborate details on how the power can be utilized, and they are placing limitations on governor's power, even president's power. This is not correct actually. You can't place limitations on governor and president's power like this because these are constitutional authorities. That would not be fair, but some people justify by saying that governor is anyway, a biased post. Secondly, president's post is of course senior to the Chief Justice, definitely in the order of precedence also. But otherwise, it is not the limitation on president directly. It's on the government of India. So that can be justified. Various points. Now coming to one more point here. What are the situations in which the governor can refer the bill to the president? So one instance is mentioned in the constitution that if the state legislature tries to pass any bill which abrogates, meaning reduces the power of state high court, then the governor will have to send it to the president. Or other situations like, if a bill violates a directive principle of state policy, if the bill, let's say, goes against the country, if the bill seemingly is anti-national, if the bill conflicts with union laws, if the bill, let's say, impacts national security, unity, all these things are there. Then the governor may refer the bill to the center. Okay.